Let's go.
And away we go. Hello, crafters.
Hi.
I'm Big D.
I'm Lil D.
Not very little.
Shut the
Oh,
This month.
Oh,
I'll just leave.
it's my big boy. He's my big boy. I'm Big D. This is Little D. And we are
The Game Craft Dragon. Look at this man.
Who's man?
Look at this dude.
So,
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba.
welcome to this first February show. The eve of the weekend of the Tau in 9th edition.
Oh, shut up, you.
Well, hello, Commodore. Tau. Tau are a thing.
It's true. They're a thing.
They're a thing. We meant to talk about them last week. We never got around to talking about them.
I wasn't here last week.
I was here with Lady D.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
Huh?
She briefly showed up.
Oh, yeah, for like...
Yeah. And so let's start off. What's on the bench? What are you working on right now?
Not much.
Well, no, you're working on a campaign though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I'm
it's
getting...
just because it's not 40K doesn't mean it's not gaming. We're an all gaming channel. Just because 40K is the better game, it's okay. You're still working on gaming stuff. What are you working
on? I'm working on the setting I want to try and pitch to the gaming store the channel works at. Because I've been working the setting for a while. I've actually got it right there on the computer. I've got maps and...
You got to pitch it to the gaming store. I thought you were going to try and pitch it to try and get it published or something.
I don't know.
Why not?
Maybe. There's still a lot of work that needs to go into it before I can do anything like that with it. Because I need art and I need to fix the map, because the problem with the map is that it's split into 25 different images that need to be collaged together.
Okay.
Because it's a big map, but I split it down into regions when I originally made the map, instead of just making it one big map. I've got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Shannon offered to help with that, which, would be nice. I'm really excited to run in that setting because I've done a lot of work on it. The Commodore and
Phoenix?
No, and Kaiserling have both been able to read stuff over and look at the stuff after they asked to be sent to them so they could see it too. There's a whole bunch of stuff on that regard. I would like to run it as an actual game soonish so I can try and test it out with people that run games in the setting. But we don't really have the time slot for that. So that's why I'm looking at running at the gaming store.
Yeah.
But this is the setting I've been passionate about for a while. I've been working on the setting for a while, and it's one of it's my big this is my pet project when it comes to tabletop gaming. I want to run this as a full setting at some point in the future. Because I'm running it for one group, but I'd like to see it from a different, because my group, I've been running for them for 6-7 years now.
And what system are you running this in?
I'm currently running it in Pathfinder for them, but I can adapt it to 5e or Pathfinder. And honestly, I'm more comfortable in 5e, but I'm gotten pretty fluent in dealing with Pathfinder now. But I'd probably run it at 5e at the gaming store for you guys. It seems to be what more people are into, which is entirely fair. I have 13 pages of just the history for the setting. written up there that are just like notes on like important events. I've got all the gods set up. I've also got the other continent, although the other continent's a little less involved because I have a little lot. I don't have as much inspiration for it. It's a much smaller setting. Eventually, there are 2 other continents I want to eventually write up and put stuff into, but right now I'm focusing on the primary continent, which is meant to be like where the bulk of the settings stuff takes place, where the bulk of like the lore is dedicated to, because the other continents don't really like intersect, because they haven't really had the chance to, which could be a cool aspect for a campaign. But I'm focusing on the main continent, which is Kataras. And trying to get that all worked out, trying to get that all set up, and trying to run it as a full tabletop setting that other people maybe in the future could run.
I put this all on backwards.
What a
That's supposed to be on the inside.
What a fucking dork.
Oops. Problem with universal pieces, they're not really universal, they're just quasi-universal.
And I just I want to be able to do that. And I know we have our game currently, so I can't run it for that group. But like it would be fun in the future to eventually try this setting out with you guys.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, I know that, but it is meant to be the primary content of the setting where a large amount of the lore like focuses on. But that's like it's like how a Faerun has other content in its setting, but Faerun primarily takes place on Faerun.
Faerun primarily takes place in the Dale Lands, which is even crazier when you consider how big just the main continent of Faerun is.
Yeah, like if you look at the Kataras map I have, there is, again, it's 25 like pictures worth of an overall world map. And I've also taken a lot of inspiration from like different cultures to try and adapt them into the setting. And like,
are you appropriating?
Like, I did a lot of research into Mongolian culture specifically for one of like the more important facets of the setting as a whole. And I sat down and did a lot of research to try and make sure that what I was doing was fit into the idea of that section of the world setting.
Okay. Hello, Superfly. How you doing, buddy? One of our buddies, one of our local friends we met. Well, not local friends. One of our friends we met through the amazing Frost and Fist with their Friday show. But this show takes a lot of ideas from, as far as the format from, kind of our.
That's for sure. Listen, I've never read the Aragon books. I've seen the Aragon movie, I think, like years ago. I've never read any of the Aragon books. I've heard they're good, though. Apparently, one of the characters in the lore document has a similar name to one of the villains from the Aragon series.
That's a lie. You read the Aragon books.
No.
Because I remember when we tried to watch the Aragon movie, you did nothing but bitch about that movie.
No, because I've had some aspects explained to me by a friend of mine who's really into the Aragon setting, but I've never read. I've never had the chance to.
So you were based without actually knowing the source material.
I mean, and that was years ago. I might have like read like the first book, maybe. I don't remember reading it, to be entirely honest, though. Like that would have been years ago.
Based.
Based. But no, apparently, yeah, one of the characters has a similar name to one of the villains from Aragon.
That's so you gotta change his name.
It's a similar name, and they don't have to change his name.
I am the great and mighty necromancer.
No, there's like this historical orc chief who like was the man who basically broke the back of the empire when he brought together the clans of the Steplands.
Oh.
And apparently his name is similar to that villain's name.
Oh. So it's like Zazgul.
Gobletorix.
It's all good, my friend. All right. Hello, Phoenix.
That's who I need to send it to next so she can pick it apart.
I mean,
and tell me how bad it is.
I mean, she is the literary person of this family.
I mean, yeah, that's the joke. I know. Listen. Yeah.
Based.
Why are you saying based? Base is
because I'm old and it sounds cool.
Yeah, you're saying something is good when you say that. Just so you know.
Okay. I know slang now, kids. All right. Challenge accepted.
I'm gonna shut up now because I could keep going on about it, but I don't feel like taking up too much more time with it.
So what am I working on? I had taken some time off from painting because I could not deal with painting for a bit there. Dealing with my wife and all of her stuff. So I was just kind of like gelling out, watching a lot of TV, trying to put stuff together here and there, but not much. But I cracked down into crap load of painting over the last week. I'm almost done with a couple more units of Sisters, and I will soon be done with that commission and get that shit out of my house. And I started building my next project, which is my Maggotkin of Nurgle army. The demons are actually going to be a very simple paint scheme. It's really cool. I am not going to paint the dudes this way, but the demons are all going to be painted the same way I painted my daemonettes. But instead of being 3 layers of pinks and then just washed to make them look kind of ethereal and a little bit of metal on them, it's going to be 3 shades of green that I've got paint for. It's going to be base coat, 75%, or I should say a 45-degree angle, and then a straight over the top zenithal with getting lighter each raise up, then give them a wash in green, and then go back and touch them up with a little bit of some nasty metal colors. And then that'll be done. I mean, it's just doing real simple for the demons, and then I'll worry about the dudes later on. I mean, they're printed. I got to finish assembling them. The dudes for the army are done. So literally, the nice thing about this, the Maggotkin, it's actually a really easy army to put together. I mean, I put together 2 leaders, 3 leaders, 4 leaders, because it's 2 human leaders, 2 demon leaders, 2 squads of dudes, of the fat boy dudes, and then 2 boxes of demon Nurgle demons, and we're done. That's it. That's all there is to it. The army's done. That's 2,000 points. I was shocked at how quick those points went. Nurgle demons are expensive.
Oof.
But they're tough. Oh my god, they can just take a beating. So it's cool. I'm going to build them, and I got some ideas like how I'm going to do their base. I'm going to make them just look like they're walking through sloppy, wet, disgusting bog.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
With your STOs, do you know of any like Roman Legionnaire like figures?
It's funny you asked me about that. You're the second person to ask me about Roman Legionnaires in a week, because my buddy Mike, I'm in the D&D game with. The one game we're in is about to end, and when that game ends, we're going to swap over to a new D&D game. I have a once-a-month D&D game that I go to. So 1 month a weekend, I disappear. I go to my buddy Mark's house, and we play all day. We play Friday night, basically after work until usually around 11 o'clock. And then I go home, I go to bed, I come back. I used to back in the day actually sleep over there, but I was just like picking up my life and going over there. As I got to sleep with a thing on my face and blah, 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 whatever. I come home, I sleep with my wife because she's not in the game. But we go back over there Saturday morning. I have breakfast, and then we play until about 11 o'clock midnight that night, alternating months. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm running Shadowrun for them. And then alternately, Mark, the guy whose house it is running a game. But his game is almost done. And you got to picture this D&D game. You got to picture this, Ray. Mm-hmm. You got to cross Hunger Games.
No, you've told me. Yeah.
Hunger Games with trying to think of it. Running Man and Ready Player One. Mm-hmm. It's a really crazy, crazy fun game. Like we just finished a level that we were fighting against. Now, keep in mind, this is a fantasy D&D game. I'm playing a. Gosh, I can't even remember what I'm playing right now because I'm playing a monk. I'm playing a monk in honor of you, actually. I'm playing Brother Blue Scorpion.
Nice.
A half-elven monk. But he has a cousin. You remember his cousin's name, right? Yeah. So I'm playing this half of a monk, and our last level, because we had to fight through the level, because basically it's like a video game. We go in, we fight this level, and then we go up to the next level. And our last level, we were fighting in Vietnam against the Viet Cong. Yes. I don't want to get into it, but yes, he is better. He's fine. He's actually a lot better right now. And he was all clear. He was all clear when I went over. I told him he had to have the negative test and the doctor's sign off before I would go over there. And he actually had it because he understood my restrictions. And he had it and he's all good. So we went over there, we played. But we're coming to close to his game, coming to close to the end of his game. And when his game ends, his brother's the other person that plays in the game. Well, it's Mark and his wife, Mike and his wife, and me. Mike's going to run. Now, understand, Mike is literally one of the first 50 people to play D&D that was not involved in its development. He was at the Gen Con that it was originally released at. And he got it that day. So he's been playing literally D&D since day one. But he's going to be running a campaign where we're playing a squad of Roman legionnaires. And it's literally a Roman setting, but it's a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
So, like, the Slavs are the dwarves. The Germanics are the half-orcs, or the orcs, technically, the orcs. The Gauls and the Britons are the elves. The Greeks are the I forget what they're called, but the demon-y people, the demon player characters. Tieflings. The Greeks are tieflings, and the Arabesque people are gnomes.
Jesus.
And so we're part of Roman legions. So, and everybody's playing two characters, which is something new for us because we normally only play one character. But because we're playing a legion forefront, there has to be 10 characters for his concept to work. So we're gonna try it out. I'm not really sure about it, but we're gonna try it out. And so I'm gonna be playing a dwarven forge cleric and a elven sniper ranger.
Nice.
So, but he was asking about if I could get my hands on some Roman legionary STLs because he needs some for this game because we play minis and the whole 9 yards. And then he wants to pay me to paint them, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to paint someone else's fucking figures. But it's like 10 figures, so I can do 10 figures. And
I also need. Well, there's a lot of minis.
Why do you need Romans?
Because the primary empire, which is generally a pretty large antagonist for the setting, is very heavily Roman inspired. They're like if you took a good way to describe them.
Why is Commodore deleting himself?
No.
Oh, the ivermectin.
A good way to describe them is like if you took from Warhammer Fantasy the Empire of Sigmar and mixed it with like ancient Rome. Like that's a great way to describe how they feel in their aesthetic.
Fair enough.
With like there's a lot of races in it too. Like there's ogres, there's high elves, there's goblins, there's kobolds that all work for the Empire, that have all been kind of like absorbed into the Empire and turned into its legions. Which is I actually got the inspiration for the goblin being part of it from Magic the Gathering. Do you remember the Boros, like Ravnica, like goblin?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was looking through art one day and I saw it. I was like, I want to put goblins in this Empire because that looks cool. Because the Boros actually like kind of built into that aesthetic as well. Like their color scheme kind of helped with it as well. And they're not like the Empire's not like completely bad guys. It's just like they generally become.
They're not completely bad guys. They're just
they're a lawful neutral empire that's leadership tends towards lawful evil.
They're not totally evil. They're just evil.
It's they're an antagonistic force to many groups of people because, well, if you're not part of the Empire, you're an enemy of the Empire. And certain races are not exactly well favored in the Empire. Because, like, yeah, they got kobolds and goblins, but let's say you're a gnoll or an orc. Like, you get to go be a slave or get killed. Like, that's about what you got. Or maybe you can be a mercenary. If you're a mercenary, then we'll let you go.
I'll paint the legionnaires. How much is he offering? Actually, Commodore, he's actually said, he just says, charge me a fair price. I'll pay it. So, I mean, Mike's that, okay, understand, my buddy Mike he's very fair. He is probably the one person I've ever met that I could honestly believe falls into the lawful neutral with a splash of good in it.
Oh, the other thing is I'll be able to use Stormcast for some of the guys.
You mean the gigantic guys?
Yeah. The Brotherhood is what they're known as. They're an order of paladins dedicated to the Empire.
And they're like 9 feet tall.
They have magic to increase their size and like their strength. And there are spells for it. The general and it would probably be just the officers. But one of the big things is like in D&D terms, they wear amulets of enlarged person to like stand out among the rest of the troops. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're tougher. It's actually like a real thing that the Brotherhood does. Hello.
Hey, Mr. Aaliyah. Miniatures Paintbrush. Good to see you, buddy. So that's on a bench. Tau.
Yeah.
Tau. So I meant to get into this last week. I meant to be talking about this a bit, actually. Naughty. So naughty. All the naughty people in this channel. Dude, we'll talk about it when I got more details from him, or when we're not in the middle of a stream. He's trying to ask me about a commission job when we're freaking in a freaking stream. Look at this guy. This guy.
Listen, he's trying to make money.
Trying to make that dollar bill, y'all. All right. So, yeah, Phoenix, if you rock yours out, I got questions. I have so many questions.
I guess you just don't ask. Anyway,
getting
back on topic, you bunch of nerds.
Okay, so Tau, they're a thing, huh? They're a thing. What are you doing? Stop digging in there. Stop digging in there.
Looking at stuff.
Stop. We're having a show here. Stop. So, their codex drops Saturday.
Some people have gotten early copies.
Well, of course, everybody who's got review copies got review copies. I would love for GW to notice me, senpai, and give me some early copies of some stuff.
Maybe in a couple thousand more subscribers, buddy.
Yep, channels I barely do once a month. So,
yeah, but you do live streams.
Well, here's the thing. I will be doing, once I get my Imperium, I should quick go into that. I do have a subscription to Imperium, and once Imperium drops and I start getting my issues, which should be like in the next week or so, I will begin doing unboxings and reviews on Imperium contents. So that should be pretty cool. So anyhow, so Tau are going to be dropping this weekend. And they're getting their book, they're getting their combat patrol right away, which I know has a few people kind of frustrated because Custodes and Gene Stealer cults still haven't gotten their combat patrol. And it's like, yeah, but you got that box. And people are like, but I don't want both freaking armies. Yeah, well, sucks to be you, I guess. You got to remember, it's a GWA. Play everything. It worked on me.
Oh, my God.
I'm not wrong. Shit worked on me. And so a lot of people have been doing reviews. I have been going over a lot of stuff. I meant to talk about this last week some. How much have you actually watched other than that one video? Have you read anything on it, really?
Not a whole lot.
Okay. So here's the big thing. Like, the Tau have a thing called Mont Ka and Kion.
Yeah.
And it used to be like a one-term thing that they could do. Mm-hmm. It's now going to be like a doctrine thing for them. Okay. And I think I'm not sure because I haven't read enough and I didn't really see anything specific on it. But it's either going to be like, you know, for X number of rounds, you're in Mont Ka to start off with. Like it looks like you're in Mont Ka for 1, 2, and 3, and you're in Kion for 3, 4, and 5. You have to choose what your round 3 is going to be, or you only get one or the other. I haven't seen that completely yet. I haven't completely seen those rules yet, which is kind of cool.
Kayun.
Whatever.
No one cares, you weeb.
So here's the thing. Hey, I need to know because I want to be able to pronounce it right when I drop my Tau army next week.
Ugh, you disgust me.
Yes.
I live in the same house as a Tau player.
Yes. With 2 Riptides Tau. And
disgusting.
2 Hammerheads.
You disgust me.
I'm going to kill somebody. Now, it's interesting. Because there have been some, but anyhow, let's come to that in a minute. So we're talking about this Mont Ka and Kion thing. There's some really it like modifies a bunch of things about the army. It's just like the battle doctrines. But one of the big things is that there are some stratagems that the Tau have that work differently depending on what mode you're in. Like if you're in Mont Ka or Kion. And one of the most interesting ones, I don't even remember what it's called. I forget what it's called. I wish Ryan was here because Ryan would talk about it. Yeah, that Tau army I got a crazy deal on. I mean, dude just gave it to me for like nothing. And he gave me a bunch of terrain too.
Dude.
um,
God, you're such a dick. Such a dick. Just shows up, takes it all back.
So here's the thing. This one stratagem, it's 1 CP. If you're in, I don't even remember what it does if you do it if you're in Cayenne, but it does something crazy if you're in Cayenne. But if you're in Montca, you could take up to 3 transports, move them their full distance, then unload the guys out of them.
Jesus.
And then those guys get to move and shoot and do whatever they want to do too. And it's up to 3 units. And there's some pre-game thing that lets you move them pre-game now. So
if you're in one of the 2.
Right. I think it's Montca, because you get to start them 9 inches in front of your area. Then you get to move them 12 and then unload them. And these dudes get to get out up to 3 inches away. And then they can move up to 6 because that's how far their movement is.
Oh, they can move the same round they were deployed, can they?
They normally can't. Oh, no, they can. Yeah, they can. That's the whole thing. Because normally you can't move and then deploy. That's a special thing of this stratagem. So on turn 1, you can get breachers. 9, then 12, then 3, then another 6 up the board.
Okay.
So 30 inches up the board. So here's the thing. 30 inches up the board with breachers. We're going to be in really short range for those wonderful guns of theirs where they go, hi, eat my 6.22 guns.
That's dumb.
It's awesome.
That's dumb.
It's 1 CP.
It's 1 CP. That's so fucking dumb.
And it's 3 freaking squads. Oh.
Wait, it's 1 CP to do that to 3 squads?
Yeah, it's 1 to do it to 3 transports.
That's stupid. You could.
Yes, you could.
You control like most of the board at that point.
I mean, there's still Tau dudes. I mean, Marines will cut into pieces, but that first round, you're gonna get.
They have their shield drones that will
and their invulnerability drone because you do breachers.
Yeah.
That's that's hilarious. They are going to be super rapid. It's like super rapid deployment in your face.
That seems a little much, not going to lie.
But again, they're Tau. So
Tau are hard to dig out because of their Overwatch ability.
No, they're not hard to dig out. Well, they are now, I should say. They are now because there's been a change of the rules. You know those drones? Remember how in 8th edition, it's like, oh, there's drones. Let's pick them off, and then we can go after
yeah, they're now part of a squad.
They're now part of the squad.
Which actually avoids a lot of like the problems that they had. Not even just for that problem, but just like the amount of just like fuckery that it caused.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. But does that mean that, and that's why I want to see this book, because I'm curious if drones, since they got to be part of a unit now, can you take drones independently anymore? I don't think you can.
I don't think so. I think there's specific drone squads you can.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, I believe that it's the tactical drones or whatever they're called.
Now, the other thing is that the savior protocols only work for dudes.
They also only work once around.
Oh, I didn't know. No, I didn't notice that. I did not notice that.
Use savior protocols once around.
So they're going to be real interesting to play against. That's why they're so rapid. They're going to just be rapid. The Fish of Fury. That's what a buddy of mine who's been playing them for a while is. It's an old variation of playing them before. It's this rapid deployment, get in your face type version of the Tau. They make up for.
Also, remember that marker lights now get fired before the shooting phase. So you shoot all your marker lights, and then you make your shots.
I don't know if they get fired before.
Yes,
really.
You fire marker lights, and then you take your shooting phase.
So all the marker lights on your army fire. Oh, that's a huge change. That's a huge change. That's right. That's right. Because every time you shoot a unit that's got marker lights on it, you take a marker light off it. Because it's no longer getting to have marker lights anymore. Is the whole thing. It's you get one marker light on them, and whoever's still shooting at them has them. So the bonus for having the marker light remains as long as there's a marker light on them.
Yeah.
So every time they get shot out, you pull a marker light off of them. Okay, that's freaking cool, though. That's cool. I dig that. But it now means you're putting marker lights in every unit. You're trying to get a maximum number of marker lights. You can spread them on all of them.
They're not like super expensive, but they are.
Well, like I said, we'll see because the points come out this weekend. I haven't seen all the points yet. We already talked. I know we talked about it last. I talked about it last week. The whole drama over the railgun on the tank. Okay, we can have that conversation because we were talking about this. We're actually talking about this before the show started. So right now, as far as I know, the tank with the railgun and 2 missile drones, because that's what I would go with. I would go with the smart missile system or whatever the missile drones are. I think it ends up.
Can you not take marker drones on it?
No, you have a choice between pulse guns.
So if you want to maximize damage, you're putting as many hammerheads as you can in. Right. You want to make sure you have a good amount of marker lights to make it so it's a 3-up. That's the first thing you want to do. Right. The thing is with the hammerhead right now.
Now here's the thing about the hammerhead. Let's first point out the one thing.
It's a 4-up.
It's a 4-up. And it's 4-up, 5-up, 6-up. So when it starts taking damage, it degrades pretty quickly. That's nasty.
But you put marker lights on something, it becomes a 3-up. There's a stratagem to let you shoot twice with it, I believe.
With one tank, yeah.
Yeah. With one tank. You can take 3 of them, and then 4 if you take the commander, who is a 3-up in of himself.
Right.
You can give another one a +1 to hit. He can give another unit act as if they had a marker light on their target.
If you're playing that sept, which I believe is a Tau sept, so
if you're going to run hammerheads, you probably want to run that sept.
It depends.
It's another hammerhead, and he gives another hammerhead the free bonus of a marker light.
True, I'm not saying otherwise, but we haven't seen what all the rules of the custom septs are. And we haven't seen anything other than like one other sept rules.
The other good one is if you're not going for him, is there's a custom sept rule that if you advance, you get a 5-up invuln save, which is good, but those are heavy weapons. I believe they're heavy.
Well, yeah, they're heavy.
So
we'll have to look at how those rules. Like I said, we will have a codex this weekend, and we'll probably do a deep dive in it at some point this weekend and take a look at one. Mm-hmm. Or I'll just we'll do a review of one.
My problem with the hammerhead is that it pushes something that was already kind of in the meta already, which is vehicles. Not a lot of good vehicles other than like dreadnoughts, and like there's a very few amount of vehicles that are actually stuff you run right now. There's the Orc Buggies. There's the Dark Elder Raiders, there are Space Marine Dreadnoughts, and then there's the Dread Knights for Grey Knights. There's not a whole lot more other than that.
I'm trying to think. You got the Scorpix and the not Scorpix, what's it called? The Scorpion tank and the Ornithopter for AdMech.
But even then, like those aren't run that often.
Oh yeah, those are running every list.
Okay.
Those are running every list. If you can, in competitive. Speaking in competitive.
Yeah, and I'm talking about competitive here. And then knights.
Knights are their own animal.
The problem is that this takes what was already kind of an anti-vehicle meta generally, not for every vehicle, of course, but like generally anti-vehicle meta, and just pushes it even farther off the board. Because let's say you go to a tournament,
hey Mythos,
and like 2 or 3 of the players are going Tau, and you want to go with like generally heavy vehicle like build. You're not going to have fun. Like they're just going to shoot you right off the table.
No, I disagree with that. And here's why I say I disagree about that. The one thing about the Tau tank is that, yeah, if it can get a beat on you, it's going to end a figure a turn. I mean, it's going to do, what is it, a D3 +6 +3 mortal wounds, something like that. I mean,
it's heavy too, I believe.
No, it's heavy one. It's one shot. That's the first thing. You're right. You're right. No, but I'm saying.
No, I'm thinking the stratagem.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's one shot. So yeah, it's going to take a dreadnought off the table, no problem. It's going to knock a dreadnought on its ass, other than the Redemptor dreadnought. But it's going to, like the smaller dreads. If you're running the smaller dreads, it's going to knock them on their ass. That's true. But looking at its stats, traditionally, physically, it has the same physical stats other than movement as Chimera. So it's not an 8 toughness vehicle. So
it's a 7 toughness. So
7 or 6?
7. No, it's 7 toughness, 14 wounds.
Is it 14 wounds?
Yeah, 7 toughness, 14 wounds.
Is that what you were looking at? That's what I'm talking about. All right.
The other one that has the little like minigun on the front is 7 toughness, 13 wounds.
Minigun on the front.
It looks like a little minigun on the front because there are the 2 tanks that are kind of shaped the same way. There's the hammerhead with the big rail cannon, and there's the other one.
That's the transport.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
is that the transport?
That's just the transport.
I think that's 7 tough. And the problem is, the other problem is that it's kind of cheap for what it's doing. It's kind of
well. That's what I was going to say. The hammerhead's 100. If you take the missile systems, which I think are the best point for points. So here's the thing. Those hammerhead tanks, they're with the missile system, I think they're like 180 points, somewhere between 160 180 points. They're not that expensive compared to, say, here's the funny thing. I was looking this weekend at I was actually looking at my guard. I was looking at some guard lists and some funny points of the guard, which I'm dying to see the data slate to see the point changes on them. Because right now, the version of the tank I like to run, the version of the version of the Layman Russ I like to run for my normal Russes, not for my commander, but for my normal Layman Russ. Mm-hmm. I think it's like a 220 point tank. Wow. But I realize it has a lot more firepower than the Hammerhead has. The Hammerhead has one shot. And then it's got the drones.
Yeah, with the missile pods.
Right. It's got the missile pods and it's got the one shot. And that's it. That's those guns, those
But I almost want to argue it has less reliable damage. Like, because think about it this way. You can put out, if you have, so which gun do you take?
I take the Demolisher Cannon, mm-hmm. Or I take I take the 2d6 damage gun. So I take the 2d6 damage gun, plus I put 2 multi-meltas on it, a las cannon, and a heavy stubber. So I got a las cannon for 2 shots. I got
2 shots or 1 shot?
It's 2 shots. It's 2 shots with the las cannon, 4 multi-melta shots, 3 shots with a heavy stubber, and then 2d6 shots from the main cannon. Okay. I have a lot less range. Now, admittedly, I have a lot less range than that than the Hammerhead. Okay, I have a lot less range, and it's a strength 10 gun and a pair of strength 8 guns. The Hammerhead has a lot more, but I only have 24 inches of range, other than the las cannon. The Hammerhead has like 72 inches of range.
Which doesn't matter a whole lot.
It does, and that's exactly my point. That doesn't matter in the current way the game is played.
I don't even think the range is the problem. I think the range, it's good range, but it's not the problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The range isn't the issue, because there's no way you're going to get a firing lane. I have yet to find a game where you had an honest vehicular-capable firing lane that was longer than 30 inches. I don't think I've seen one in a competitive level terrain game. I don't think I've seen a firing range for a vehicle.
With that, all those guns on Lehman Russ,
Yeah,
the enemy still gets their invuln saves.
That's true. How many vehicles have invuln saves?
The vehicles that are being taken right now.
No.
Most of the vehicles that are being taken.
The only vehicles that are being taken that have invuln saves are Dreadnoughts.
Dreadnoughts.
Mm-hmm. Only half the Dreadnoughts have them. The only Dreadnoughts that have them are the Contemptors.
No Leviathans have invuln saves.
Nobody's taking Leviathans anymore. They're too expensive.
The base Dreadnoughts have the...
Nope. Regular Dreadnoughts and Redemptors don't have invuln saves.
I know Redemptors don't. I thought that Dreadnoughts and Venerable Dreadnoughts had invuln saves.
No. They only have it if you're taking the Space Wolf version that has a shield. Other than that, the only thing they all have is a -1 to damage thing on them. They don't have an invuln save. There's a strat you can do to make them shrug off wounds, and you don't have to use that on a Venerable. The Venerable automatically has that. They all have like a 5-up feel no pain.
Okay, so then that's the Dreadknight that has invuln saves. That's the Mechanicus, because I believe all the Mechanicus stuff has...
Yeah, so the Mechanicus stuff does. The Mechanicus tank, you don't ever put that in line of sight because it's an out of line of sight thing.
And then the orcs have something. I just don't remember.
All the orc buggies. All the orc buggies are going to get screwed by that. But I mean, again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying the big thing about that vehicle, if it gets a line of sight on you, it's going to blow you off the table. Absolutely, not questioning that. But I'm going to take a 3-man squad of Eradicators, which I probably have in a list if I'm playing Marines anyhow, and I'm going to take a tank out of round.
The problem is that the Hammerheads are not going to be alone. They're going to screen the Hammerheads because they have to.
How are they going to screen a Hammerhead? It's a vehicle. What are they going to screen with? I'm not trying to melee that thing. I'm going to run a set of Eradicators, go, oh, look, there's some guys in front of the Eradicators. We're shooting at the tank. It's not a character. You ain't screening shit. You're screening me from meleeing the thing. I'm not going to try and melee it. I'm just going to shoot it. If you got line of sight on me, I got line of sight on you. That is the biggest problem with the vehicle. That is the biggest problem with the vehicle meta.
If it does shoot, okay.
If it shoots, no, I agree with you. If it shoots, if they go first, they suck. Because the problem is that the way the game is being played right now, your first turn, you don't have anything to shoot at because you're stacking everything as best as you can out of line of sight. Now, admittedly, Hammerheads are fast. I mean, they're
all the Tau stuff is fast.
I mean, it's all fast.
But what I'm saying is that what it does is that it pushes vehicle-heavy armies back further out of the way. Yeah, exactly. That is the problem. That right there is what I'm trying to say.
No, and that's not a point I'm trying to argue with. I'm not at all trying to argue that point.
Yeah, because I don't think they're going to break the meta. They're just going to reinforce the meta even further into its already problematic
And
state.
that is the point I do agree with you on. I absolutely agree with you on that one. The problem is that the smaller board already did that.
I mean, yeah.
The smaller board and the strengthening of how powerful Meltaguns are right now, and to be honest, the Eradicators ended the era of vehicles. Because Eradicators, I'm going to double shoot at that. I'm a double shoot.
And they tried to give a lot of sub-invuln saves to counter the Eradicators, and now they have a thing that pushes it even further.
There was a cartoon I was seeing about that where it's like, we're gonna make vehicles tougher, okay, but we're not gonna give them an invul save. So we're gonna now increase weapons and their AP. And we're going to give more things vulnerable saves. Well, now we get things that ignore vulnerable saves. It's like you're it's this escalation going on. And I absolutely agree with you. I think because of the way, I think it's all comes down to the board size. I think by shrinking the board size,
Shrinking the board size,
I think
increasing the terrain, clutter.
No, the problem is that increasing the terrain is not part of the base rules. Tournament type terrain is a complete answer to, oh my god, everything is firing meltdowns at me. We need to be able to put things so we don't just have turn one being alpha strike. I mean, the whole reason the orc army got nerfed, got absolutely hockey stick crushed. I'm not talking Nerf bat. I'm talking somebody took a hockey stick, wrapped that shit up in barbed wire, and went to town on the orcs, was because their ability Alpha Strike turn one was redonkulous.
The problem is that for the problem is with the competitive side of the game is that you got two options. You either make all competitive boards are the exact same. They have the same terrain, they have the same layout, all of that for complete balance. Or you don't have competitive because honestly, like otherwise, like
you're not getting an argument with me from that. Again, I love competitive game. I love competitive play, but that has been continuously my same argument about the whole competitive scene. Like my favorite army right now is completely worthless and competitive. I can't play Death Guard for nothing right now. Okay, yes, there are Death Guard that are showing up in top 100s. There's a couple Death Guard that showed up in top 100 at LVO this past weekend. By the way, real quick, shout out to our buddy Quinn Katecki.
Yep.
He's been playing for 1 year. He went to LVO, and out of 2,000 players, 80th level, 80th place. I'm sorry, for a guy that's been playing less than a year to end up in the top 100 at LVO, that is a hell of an achievement. So,
very nice. So,
but anyhow, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, the competitive game, the competitive game drives the meta. And the thing is, honestly, if you're not playing against competitive people, if you're not playing competitively and you're playing with your buddies and you're just playing for fun, none of these problems affect you. None of these things even affect you because y'all just playing for fun. And that's the thing. Yeah, competitive play is 1/3 of the game. Well, okay, but here's the thing. Let's go back to the whole concept. Competitive play drives the meta. So a new army comes out, and whoever gets on it first pounds it, finds out where it's broken, finds out where it's good, finds out what's competitive with it, and goes to town mini-maxing it. And that's great and horrible at the same time. That was where we found out about the Orc Squig Buggy, that you could take freebooters with 2 Jacket Jets and 2 Blitz Bombers and 6 or 9 Squig Buggy Rucker Trucks. And at the SoCal Open, the finals, Orcs went first and tabled the guys they were playing against in the first round. I mean, what the hell? That's broken. And so seeing that was at a GW event, GW went, oh crap, and immediately nerfed the crap out of the Orcs. And they supposedly are doing these data slates to try and bring everybody back into competitive. But the problem is that, and it's not supposed to be about competitive, it's supposed to be about balance. But the problem is the competitive scene drives the meta. So when people stop playing a faction because it's not competitive anymore, GW looks at it, does a quick fix and moves on, and doesn't look at it again. I got to see the points for Death Guard that are in the CA22 update today. I got to see the list today.
Yeah.
Screw me. My normal list, nobody's playing Death Guard right now because they're too expensive and don't do anything. And, it's funny because GW, we say that, but if you actually look at GW's website, they don't. It's just that as soon as everybody starts talking about it and you go on the internet, that's the first thing you see. And part of that's because GW doesn't really oversee their game. They make their game and they tell you, oh, you can play for fun with your friends. But you really can't because, you look at their starter box. The starter box is a great box to start the game off. But those two 500-point armies, which are 500-point armies when you started the game originally, they are not two 500-point armies anymore. Like, the Marine side of that box is like 620 points now, and the Necron side is like 400 points. It's a massive disparity. And the problem is every time they drop a codex, you look at people on the internet, and what are they looking at? They're looking for competitive. And why do people look at the competitive sites? Because they're the guys that do the nuts and bolts to best learn how to play the army. And people think, hey, Magic the Gathering, if you play Magic the Gathering and you want to know how to best play a list, well, you go to the sites where the people play it, and the people who play it are playing competitively. So they're talking about it. And that game gets dissected and taken apart. Why wouldn't you do that for a game that has a competitive scene? Like 40K has a competitive scene. Yeah. So that'd be the way you attack it. But the problem is in a game that doesn't have the same level of balance that Magic the Gathering has.
Magic the Gathering.
They're actually gotten a lot better. They really have. Honestly, no, they really have. I know. You still have a bitter taste in your mouth after... what was the card? What was the card that just wrecked you?
Splinter Twin.
Splinter Twin.
Facing two...
Dude. Like, you still...
Two of the 4 decks were Splinter Twin decks.
I want to point out, this was like 8 years ago, and he still has PTSD over that. He's like... and I don't...
Because infinite combos still exist. They still do stuff like that, and still dumb stuff happens like that in Magic the Gathering.
Because people are trying to get that edge in a competitive scene.
And it's dumb. I want a fun game where we sit down, we have fun, play for like 15, 20 minutes, and we have a good game. It's not just, oh, well, you don't get to do anything the whole game, and then I infinite combo you.
That's what board games are for. Literally, that's literally what it comes down to sometimes.
But now, it's not. Because so much of that... aggravating. Because like my last 2 or so games on Tabletop Simulator were just lists that just crush you. Like, it's, just...
Yeah, it's 9th edition is the edition of Alpha Strike. It really has become all about alpha striking people. It's really crazy. Like, that's become like the big focus of winning a 9th edition. Crusher Stampede's a perfect example of that. I played against a Crusher Stampede army. Now, if you're not familiar with Crusher Stampede, it's basically 3 really big Tyranid, basically Forge World models.
Oh, yeah. I've heard
and then some Hive Guard and a couple little guys to hold objectives. But it's basically like a third to a half your army is lined up in these 3 gigantic NIDs. But the problem is these gigantic NIDs are broken. And with the Crusher Stampede, I had a guy go first against my Wolves and had this thing run all the way across the board and engage all 4 of my Dreadnoughts in melee at once because they were still in the back of the row of the board. I'm like, How? Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then all 3 dreadnoughts pounded everything into this thing. And I did like 4 wounds. That was just stupid. So, yeah. Crusher Stampede, the new Tyranid list is broken. It did really well at LVO. Now, admittedly, Richard Siegler, baddest dude on the planet, played Admech and won. Richard, I'm not actually going to go to LVO, but I did anyhow. Siegler walked in with Admech and went, fuck y'all bitches. You want to nerf me? Nerf this. I'm going to win.
But no, it just, coming back to the original topic, it just...
Well, and that's the thing. I was looking at, like, again, we go back to looking at the Tau. So the Tau, 170 points. Let's say it's 160 or 170 points for one of these hammerheads. So you put 3 of them on the board, and that's like 500 points. About 500 points of the score of your army. You're going to kill 3 things around, more than likely. Big things, if you put big things on the board, they're going to be gone really quickly. The problem is that most meta, being honest, doesn't put a lot of big things on the board. Crusher Stampede's one of the few that does. They're going to wreak havoc. They're going to absolutely wreak havoc on Crusher Stampede. Oh, look, it's a gigantic bug. Bang, I don't care about your invul. Your 4-up invul? Nope, here you go. Have 12 wounds.
Yeah,
and I look forward to that. But at the same time, okay, what are they going to do against orcs?
Well, I'm not saying that they're going to be good again, but the problem is that that's 500 points, and then you have the rest of the army. And Tau looks to be really good. Other than that,
yeah, they're not going to be S tier like the freaking.
They might be, but some of like the amount of like ability to get on the board and everything else, like they're looking to be really.
They're going to be really fast and really fast deploy. I'm not saying they're not. They're going to be,
and any army with a centerpiece is getting that centerpiece like knocked off the board.
Yeah, if you're playing with a centerpiece, unless you have some way to say that there's no. I mean, honestly, you know who's going to suffer the worst for this?
Again, it's Knights.
Nah, I don't, because Knights don't play with a centerpiece too much. They really play with a lot of Moiraxes. They really do. They're playing with a lot of Moiraxes, and they're playing with a lot of War Dogs. You know who's going to really suffer? They're going to take Grey Knights right out of the picture. Because they're going to go bang, 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 and all 4 of the
Dread Knights
will be gone. And then you go with the Dread Knights being gone. The other thing it's going to go bang, bang, bang on. Crusher Stampede's going to take a hit.
Me too. Because I do too. Because I like big vehicles.
I do too.
It's why when I get my Chaos list eventually done, I want to get it. I think it's a Fellblade. Whatever, like the big like Space Marine Basilisk tank. And no, that's fair. The Grey Knights have barely had any time to shine, unfortunately. And if that's not, they'll probably kick Grey Knights right out of the meta. Like,
no, I don't think they kick them out of the meta, because the problem is you're playing anything with Tau. Grey Knights are still devastating.
That's fair.
If they're playing,
people aren't going. Okay, but here's the issue on that. If suddenly Tau become a huge counter to an army, you're not going to want to play the army that the new army is going to hugely counter.
If that was true, then when Admech came on board, all of the Drukhari armies would have gotten out of the
Drukhari game. Haven't been knocked out of the meta.
And that's my point.
No. What I'm saying
no. That's my point. Admech came on scene.
But they didn't directly counter the Drukhari.
Yeah, they did.
Drukhari,
they absolutely leveled Drukhari. They're like, oh, nice raiders you got there. Get the fuck out the sky.
The Drukhari have still been in the top.
Exactly. Except when they were fighting Admech. Admech was like, hey, bap, screw you. Bap, screw you. And they were going back and forth. The problem is that they were kicking the crap out of Drukhari compared to every other army. Drukhari were still devastating every other army, and they still are. And then they nerfed Admech, and Drukhari, the nerf just made them go, oh, we're going to go to different good stuff because we've got a huge and deep freaking... The problem is that, yeah, they're knocked some armies down a bit, but Grey Knights are still going to fucking devastate like a lot of other armies. Again, Quinn, who's been playing less than a year, went 4-1-1 at LVO with his Grey Knights.
That's true.
So the big thing you're going to see, Grey Knights are going to be doing just fine. Their big thing is that with this new data slate, they're going to lose one Grandmaster. So they're not going to be able to run twin Grandmasters and 3 Knights. They're only going to run one Grandmaster in a carrier and then 3 carriers in addition. So they're losing a carrier. Can't have two factions of Grey Knights in an army at the same time anymore. Everybody's losing that. So you're going to see that. And if somebody's playing Big Tank Tau, which I expect to see a thing, Big Tank Tau. I'm calling it now. That's what that's going to be called, Big Tank Tau. You're going to see people hiding vehicles more. And I tell you what, you're going to see every Marine army is going to go to, okay, hi, here's a drop pod and 2 squads of Devastators. Every single Marine army is going to have that instead of it just being the Iron Hands and the Wolves. Every single army is going to be running drop pods so they can get in there and just unleash on those Tau vehicles. So we're going to see...
The Tau can fire on deep striking units.
They're not deep striking. That's the thing. They're not deep.
When they enter during the reinforcement,
it's a movement. The drop pod comes down as part of movement. They can unleash on the drop pod. I don't remember all the rules on it, and maybe it is considered a movement in. And if it is considered movement in, yeah, they can open up on them. But troops can, vehicles can't. And it's a stratagem. It's 2 units in there, so you're shooting on one or the other unit. You're not shooting on both.
But you might be able to delete one of the 2 units.
You might be able to.
The other unit will probably kill a hammerhead.
Hey, for as cheap as those guys are, you betcha. Goodbye. And then my Eradicator.
For a drop pod and a full squad.
I don't care about a drop pod. The drop pod's 70 points of putting those dudes in your face.
70 points. The Devastator squad is
like 150.
You're trading that for...
It's an even trade. The problem is Tau don't have anything to trade back with. That's the big problem. And that's one of the big things that a couple armies are having problems with. What are they going to trade back with? What are they going to shoot back with? They're going to come back at that Devastator.
Breachers, because Breachers are just better fire warriors now.
They're short-range fire wars.
I
know. I've seen what you can do with fire wars. There's some really cool shit you can do with fire wars.
Yes, but statistically, just guns and like other statistics-wise, as well as the fact that you can shoot your the breaching weapons with the stratagem in melee, Breachers are just better fire warriors right now. You change the gun. You can now change breacher weapons to pistol weapons when they're in melee for a single CP.
Yeah, to 1 unit. It's 1 unit. Again, it's a stratagem.
No, I know. I don't think it's 1 unit. I think it's...
They got lots to come back with.
I think it's 3...
But the thing is, you got to look at the numbers you got to work with. The Tower suddenly now a high-cost army with cheap troops. They've got super cheap troops, and everything else is expensive.
No, you're right. I was just thinking about it. Yeah, so you do it with 1 unit. Yeah. That 1 unit is still doing at their highest damage profile into a unit that, I don't know, seems really fucking good.
You know, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying the Tower not good. I'm not saying that at all. But I mean, again, we're looking at the Marine aspect of it. Marines are almost out of the meta at this point. I mean, it's just bad. Marines are like a second thought, which is horrible.
Yeah.
I hate that Marines.
And they're going to keep getting pushed down further and further.
Oh no, they won't. Let's not be silly. Marines are going to get
each codex comes out. They're going to keep getting pushed back.
Marines are going to get updated before Chaos Race.
Shut the fuck. You shut the fuck. You shut your poor mouth, good sir.
Either that, or it'll even be better, is they'll get updated at the same time they update the Chaos Marines. So here's the Chaos Marines, they're really great. And a week later, by the way, here's the data save for the Marines. Hey, look, we cut all their costs by 10%. There you go. Have your Marines, have a nice day. La la.
Although Chaos Space Marines dropped by 2 points. Each Chaos Space Marine dropped by 2 points. Holy shit.
Well, you know why they did that, right? Because they're not worth the same as regular Marines, because they only have one moon.
But are they going to bring that cost back up when they give them 2 wounds?
No, they're not.
And that's scary because they're now cheaper than tacticals.
Yeah, they're far more limited in gear. That's why. That's actually why they cost less. They're far more limited than tacticals are for the gear they can take.
That's fair, but they are still cheaper than tacticals.
You're right. I think it's perfectly fair. I think it's absolutely fair. Like I said, I love every army, so I want every army to shine. It's just that Marines, as they get pushed back down, I mean, you've got Iron Hands that are still showing up in top tables here and there, that I think the Tau are going to actually kind of put a rein on those guys because their whole strength is the fact that everything in their army has an invul save. I'm surprised I haven't seen more Black Templars jump up into the meta. I think everybody's still painting their Black Templars army because everything I saw made them look good.
Yeah, they look good, but honestly, I think the problem is like
I think Marines are people are bored of Marines. I mean, it's why I'm looking to get away from Wolves for a little bit. My Wolves do just fine, and I'm just bored with Wolves. Because here's the thing. In competitive, and don't get me wrong, everybody knows I love my Wolves. But in competitive, every Marine list is basically about 1750 of the same points, and then 250 points of variation. But they're all pretty much the same list right now in the competitive scene. They're a drop pod with stuff that comes out of a drop pod. There are a couple of dreadnoughts. There are a couple of dreadnoughts with Volkite launchers. And
the Volkites got increased.
Right. That just means they're going to have to figure out a way to take out more Vanguard vets or something, because the Vanguard, you get 2 squads of Vanguard vets with claw and shield.
Volkites got increased by like 10, 20 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, it's worth it. They're broken as hell.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the whole thing. Hey, you took my dice. Good to see you. Sorry, you got to go right away. Isn't that most armies? No. No. You see, that's the thing. Again, in competitive, there's Goonhammer has a really good list of all the different competitive metas. Like, there's all these different competitive meta lists. Like, there's for Drukhari, there's called the Good Stuff. There's Good Stuff Crusher. There's Thick Boy. There's a couple different variations that are basic templates. So yeah, that is the one problem with competitive, is that once people figure out where the really, really effective models are, you don't start seeing too much variation. You know, people have their own twist on it. Like, for my competitive Space Wolves list, it looks a lot like an Iron Hands competitive list. I just swap out and put in some Blood Claws so I can get some attacks in there. Because I like Blood Claws. Instead of putting 2 units of Devastators in my drop pod, I put 1 unit of Devastators and then 1 squad or Long Fangs. and one squad of blood claws, because I can run the blood claws out and engage something, or I can do a action with them as they come up a pod or something. I have a lot of different options there. But then it's, a squad of infiltrators, a squad of assault marines, two squads of Vanguard vets, Wolf Guard. My HQs are a Smash Chaplain and a Smash Captain. The drop pod, the long fangs. That's pretty much it. I think that's my whole list right there. Yeah. I mean, that's the problem. There's not a lot of variation. Marines have so many units, and in competitive, they have a lot of units that nobody even looks at. And I think that's a problem. I honestly think that's more of a problem than anything else, is that you've got these huge codexes of hundreds of units in some cases, like the Marines, and there's so many of them that you would field in a fun list. Like, you're going to have fun with your friends, you should play the units you love.
Yeah.
But at competitive, you've got like 6 or 7 units, and that's it. And you just spam the best units.
It's the rule of competitive right now. Just spam your best units.
Spam your best stuff. And but that's how you win. That's how you win in a game, in a war game. You put your best stuff on the table.
It just doesn't feel.
I don't disagree with you. I don't entirely disagree with you. You look at the only Imperial Guard unit, the only Imperial Guard list that works at a competitive scene right now. It's the worst army in the world to play. It's 180 guardsmen.
Yeah.
And then a couple of units of Ogren, a commissar, and a couple of company commanders. And that's it.
It's ridiculous.
It's dumb. You're basically playing Hormagaunts, but with guard.
And it,
But that's the thing. And again, I want to be clear. I want to be absolutely clear. This is specifically and only talking about the competitive scene, because I love the game. And one of the reasons I'm trying to put together this narrative thing is to get people to play some non-competitive lists and play some odd flavored lists to tell a narrative story of, this world that I'm having being invaded. And that's why I'm going to put limitations on the specific limitations that both armies have to follow, weird stuff like that, because I don't want to see spammy stuff. I want people to use different units. I want them to use units that don't get to shine a lot.
I'm going to run Custodes.
Those are real good right now.
I don't care.
And they're really good right now.
I don't care. I just want to play Custodes. I want to be my golden boys. They're so cute. Look how cute he is.
Yeah.
He's so shiny.
Yeah.
Fuck up your day.
Yeah. And I know we talk about competitive a lot because that's the world I'm living in right now, because I'm trying to be a competitive player
and
to an extent.
And it has kind of bled over into some of the casual scene too.
Oh, and that's definitely the issue, because people that want to play casually, we've had a talk about this with a couple people, because Exactly, Kami. If you're not into the competitive scene and you want to get a game up, one of the big things we've talked about, and I want to talk about my buddies Max, my buddies Ryan, because these guys are two, very competitive-minded guys. But if you tell them, hey, I just want to kind of play a funsy, just kind of squishy list, just, for fun and lore, these are both guys that can flip together just a fun list and play, And that's why I love to see Winter's SEO, because those are not competitive lists on Winter's SEO. And that's why I love 40 on 40 and Play on Tabletop, because those are not competitive lists. Those are people playing lists for fun. And that's what I want to see when I get my narrative campaign going. I want people to play funsy lists. I want them to play like, oh gosh, I'm playing, like, if I'm playing Eldar, I want to play Jane Czar and a bunch of her banshees, because, you know, that would make sense. And then surround her with the guys that would be supporting banshees. You know, I don't want to play like the Ultimate Crusher list. I want to play Rangers and Ranger bikes. Okay. And then I'll have a couple other bikes. I want to play a whole bunch of bikes. Okay, that's cool. You know, that's fine. I want someone to walk in with Marines and be like, I want to play Terminators. And not be just Dark Angels. Because Dark Angels Terminators are broken. But Terminator...
but you can actually field purely Terminators with Dark Angels.
Yeah. And they're broken.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
it sounds like fun, though.
It would be fun. It'd be fun for a game, but oh my god, it's not fun to play against, let me tell you.
I want to make a Dark Angels list that's purely Terminators, and then use the 3D printer to scale them up so that they're like to scale with like.
I gotta show you the unit. Somebody did a Primaris scaled Terminator.
Oh fuck yes!
Using the Saturnine Terminator body and shoulders.
Wait, is that the big shoulders or is that the
big half dome shoulders? Oh no, dude, they look great.
No, the really big shoulders?
I'll show you them. I'll show you them afterwards. They look great.
I really don't like the really big shoulders.
No, I'll show you them. They look great.
Because when I think Terminators, I think the ones with like the almost like dog head.
The hippo heads.
Yeah.
They're hippo heads. And that's what he did. He replaced the heads that come in there, and he put the hippo heads on there. And dude, they look great.
Well, we'll see. I'm not the biggest fan of like the huge shoulders.
Oh, but dude, you can do so much cool stuff on those shoulders. You got to see them. They look good because they're on Primaris bodies. So they look better. They don't just look like I'm my shoulders start at my waist and go above my head. Trust me, they look good. Midwinter Minis. Okay, if anybody's wondering, it's Midwinter Minis' recent video about Terminators and him painting yellow and his method of painting Imperial Fist yellow. And I gotta say, I think he's got the best yellow I've seen anybody paint. Anybody.
You coming at Commodore like that?
No, I'm coming at Freak like that.
Oof.
His yellow is that good, and it's so stupidly simple. I was like, with a brush? You did that with a brush? You didn't airbrush that? You put it on with a brush, and it looks that good?
Help me do my Lamenters.
Yeah. No, dude, you don't understand.
No, I don't want to do my Lamenters.
No, dude, you could do Lamenters.
I don't want to do Lamenters because I don't want to do the fucking stupid shoulders.
I can show you how to do the shoulders.
I don't want to do the stupid shoulders.
Commodore, be offended. Be offended because you're going to see this. You'd be like, oh, that's dumb. That looks great, but that's dumb.
I was going to do like a white shoulder and a black shoulder instead.
Then just do a white shoulder and black shoulder. They're Lamentish.
No, they're the new Primaris, because since all the Lamenters were essentially wiped out, these are the Primaris like redesign that Cole put them through.
You know what you should do? You should do them in the yellow and put a black shoulder on the right shoulder, and then put a what do you call it? The silver shoulder pad with the Death Watch shoulder pads on this thing. They're Lamentish. Anyway, and just do it black with a red heart on them. That would look cool.
That's fair.
All right. So we're gonna quick wrap it up real quick here. Gonna give a quick shout out to all my lovely patrons. We're gonna start off with Inquisitor Zane, Gregory Tesh, Joe Bookish, James Brown, Brian the Mini War Mutt, Mythos Kushranada, Hellchild, And then I think that's everybody. Oh, no, of course. My wonderful niece, Phoenix. Quit rubbing my head, dude. You're distracting me. My wonderful niece, Phoenix, and my lovely best friend in the whole world, the Commodore. I love you all so much. I want to thank you so much. You can hit that like button, share, subscribe, put your comments below, tell me what you want to talk about, and maybe next time we can talk about what you talk about here on Taco Tuesday on the Game Draft Dragon. I'm Big D.
I'm Little D.
Game on.